host, Kevin Barrier, and welcome to 5Dubs Marketing Pros, where we highlight awesome brands and the stories behind them, and maybe just maybe geek out on all things marketing. All right, let's get started. So for the first Marketing Pros episode of 2025, I wanted to have someone on who I genuinely consider a brand marketing powerhouse. And at only 25 years old, she's getting started in shaping the future of marketing. From a small town girl with big marketing dreams to now a big city marketer, she's found her calling by leveraging social media to build and strengthen brands that truly shine, even in congested spaces like social media tends to be. She's the creative spark behind countless campaigns, and her energy is absolutely inspiring. I've seen firsthand how her skill for storytelling, her Gen Z savvy insights, and her power for connecting with people online can transform a business's brand from who's that to wow, look at that. So without further ado, let's get a masterclass and geek out a little bit on all things brand marketing. I'm excited to introduce skill level 50 social media marketer, brand whisperer, and soon to be one of your favorite new sources for marketing inspiration in 2025, Maya Shell. Hey, Maya.
Hey, thanks for that amazing intro.
Absolutely. I'm a fan. So I guess some context, I've wanted to have you on this podcast for a while. So I kind of ran into your work through, our partnership with Cloud Campaign. This is not a sponsored post, or sponsored content. We love Cloud Campaign. It's our social media management platform of choice. And I was kind of a fly on the wall for the work that you've done over there. But I don't want to get too far ahead, but I'm super, super excited that you agreed to be on here for our first episode in 2025. But I want people to get a sense of who you are, right? Because like with our podcast, normally we talk about awesome brands and the story behind them, and you're the brand in this case, right?
Yeah.
It's your personal brand, and it's an awesome personal brand. So, small town girl with big marketing dreams, and now you're doing big things in a big city. Introduce yourself to people, talk to them about who you are and how you got into marketing.
Yeah, of course. So yeah, that's basically a sum of what you just said, but I'll give it a bit more detail there. But yeah, so I grew up in an incredibly small town. I'm from rural Ohio, so not much happening there. So I obviously kind of wanted to get out of that. So I went to college. I'm a first gen college student, so I really didn't have a lot to lead me. It was basically just going off ambition and passion, and just trying to get out there in the world and see what I could do in it. And so yeah, I really just tried to take every opportunity that came my way. Which was kind of tough because when I was in college, COVID happened. So right in the middle of me being in college, a world pandemic, and my internships were canceled. I got sent home, and so that it was a really interesting time to be finally getting into the world when it's just shutting down, essentially. So it's, yeah, incredibly interesting. So as we kind of talked today about Gen Z, people I think keeping that in mind is we've had this catalyst, it's our 9/11, because I was only 2 when 9/11 happened, so it's our big world event. And it affected a bunch of things, obviously, as everyone knows. But anyway, so taking that, I learned a lot of lessons from that. But yeah, I think one of the things that really catapulted me into my post grad professional life is taking advantage of internships. And we had a co-op program in my college at the University of Cincinnati. It's pretty renowned if you know about it. But anyway, so we pretty much push getting out there into the world a lot, not just taking classes, actually getting a master class in real world internships and opportunities. So that was incredible. That's definitely my biggest recommendation for anyone in college. If you're listening, take internships, try to get out there. But yeah, so that's kind of literally straight catapulted me into the post-grad professional world, because I was taking internships. Even after I graduated, I still wanted to get my toes wet in the industries and trying to figure out exactly what I wanted to do. So I took an internship at Cloud Campaign, as mentioned earlier, and that did turn full time. So that was my first big job. And now I'm on my second job and I am in the tech world. Both my jobs have been tech. I would love to say that I like planned that and like I wanted to get into the tech world and I like, made all these strategic moves. I really just fell into the tech world, but I love being here and it's a really interesting space. So yeah, I know a lot of people are always like, how do I get into tech? And I'm like, I don't know. Sometimes you just get lucky by falling into it. So that's a bit of my journey. But yeah, like onto my second job now, I'm just really trying to continue to learn and grow in my skills and in my career in general. So that leads me to sharing how grateful I am to, be here today with you talking about what I've learned so far. And as you said, geeking out on all of this because I do love to geek out on marketing and brand and everything. So
And it shows. And that's so I chose those words very wisely because, like I said, I've seen your work with Cloud Campaign. You did a lot with Cloud Campaign. A lot of it you were a brand ambassador on like short form videos, out on social. So, you were a face to the Cloud Campaign brand from that standpoint. And it was just like the work had, I guess the best way I could put it, like it had this Gen Z feel, but it was very wise, right? It attached to the brand very well. Um, you're very savvy in that way, and it showed through the whole. Again, we're going to use brand a lot today, but it showed through the whole brand, right? For Cloud Campaign, but brand marketing, it's for me, it's the foundation of marketing, right? It's what
yeah.
every other marketing tactic will be built upon. But a lot of small, medium-sized businesses that are trying to get their brand out there, they're not quite understanding what brand marketing is or how to approach it. Um, you know, define for me, in your words, like what is brand marketing, right? Talk to us about what brand marketing is.
Sure. Yeah. So to me at least, I think brand marketing is about promoting the whole, like the brand as a whole, and not just like the products or services. A lot of people say like bring about like how to like solve the problem, not just the problem. And involving like emotions and stuff like that. So it's basically about showing off the personality and like the vibe of the company, finding ways for people to connect with and relate to the company's energy, or as like Gen Zers would say, it's aura. So
The aura, the
yeah,
riz of the brand. Yeah,
I
my
guess
my daughter's 10, my son's 7. I'm like inundated with skibbity toilets and stuff like that. So
that's the stuff that goes over my head. Like as an older Gen Z, that's the stuff I'm like, I don't understand that. I don't want to understand that. Like they can have their own part of the Gen Z world.
yeah, the next generation of marketing is going to be interesting.
Yeah.
It'll be very foreign. But I have to imagine for you, in kind of that. So you're Gen Z, you're older Gen Z, went to college during COVID.
Yeah.
Crazy. I remember, here COVID for us. Like I just started at the agency I'm with now, and it's like it hit everyone in their own way. But to me, it shows like the different type of perspectives that we could have. And for you, I would imagine that, you've grown up much, much more in the digital era,
Yeah.
right? And that I would imagine has shaped your philosophy on how you approach brand marketing and brand strategy. Talk to me a little bit about that, about how like your view may be an evolved one from mine, because in my era, I started out in print media.
Wow.
So back in 2001, right? It was like we were lighting the office by lantern and getting to the office by horse and carriage. So now, now there's cars. So, I've seen the evolution of brands and marketing from that perspective. But for you, you started in the digital era, and now your evolution is probably going to be into the AI side. So talk to me a little bit about how the digital era has influenced your philosophy in marketing.
Yeah, I mean, that's that is crazy. Like, I think prep media to me is so interesting. So I'm like, wow, what a different world. Like, that would have been cool to like go through that transformation. But like you said, like in my lifetime, I'm going to see a whole different kind of transformation. So that it will be interesting to see how that works more. And on the side of AI, like just quickly, I am so glad that I went to at least undergrad. I'm in grad school now, so I have AI now, but I'm so glad I did undergrad without AI because it is such a tool that's like so easy to rely on. And so I'm glad I didn't have that then, but now like, yeah, totally different world. So, but going back, yeah, like my, growing up. So yeah, like I was born in 99, so I technically am a 90s baby. I
Born in
claim
'99. Oh my God, you're a baby.
I like to claim I was a 90s kid. I'm definitely not. I understand that. It's fine.
You're
Um
fine. You can say you're a '90s kid. That's fine.
but yeah, so like when all these social platforms were just, coming about, I didn't have a MySpace. I wasn't quite actually I think I did, but I only did it like because my older brothers had it. But like I don't really remember that one really. So maybe there's a account for me out there somewhere, but I don't even know. But anyway, my first platform started when I was 10. So on Facebook. It was 2010 and I was 10 and I was on Facebook and there wasn't like and my parents still don't know social media, like they don't understand. So there wasn't any like, what are your parents like, they let you be on there, like they had no idea what was going on. I had no idea what was going on. You're on there, you're adding anybody who whatever, and like you're talking to people that like in the grade above you at school that you kind of know, like on there and stuff. So that terrifies parents nowadays. Somehow I made it through, no one creepy got to me. So
It was a simpler time back then.
yes.
That my version of that was like riding your bike with friends, like
Yes.
well beyond where you live into like town and stuff like that. Yours was like hopping on Facebook as a 10-year-old, which is interesting. You'll never see a 10-year-old on Facebook now. The demographics have changed, but it was a simpler time back then, I think.
Yeah. But like through that, like I feel like I see the world through a much more digital lens. And it definitely has like shaped interactions with people, especially, as like Instagram came out and that kind of became like my generation's like more platform other than like Facebook. And I think I was 12 when I got an Instagram. And so like having that in literally middle school. So um taking that through time, but that has also been changing a lot. I'm so interested. One of my things I'm so interested in is the future of social media. And I'll get into like I'll touch on some of those aspects because again, it like is so interesting to me, especially as having a career rooted in it. How that will change over time through like my perspective, how I've seen it already change so fast over, I don't know, like 10, 15 years now of it being around. Um, but anyway, yeah, so like through growing up alongside these platforms, I mean, these platforms are changing and growing like pretty much at the same pace I am in my career, like they're changing. So it's interesting to see that. So like, the platforms, how they've been important or useful to me kind of change over time. But also how like they have changed themselves. So like in high school, I used to get like 600 likes on a picture and blah, blah, blah. And like now, like engagement and interaction on these platforms is so low and most people are lurking. And so that's kind of like some of the pace. That doesn't mean like I don't have the same amount of people viewing or interacting with my stuff. Like I definitely have grown followers, but now it's slowed. And, so I think that's like you can look at your personal journey through the platform, at least for the space and time that I'm in with it, and it kind of mirrors the platforms as well as they're changing and trying to grow and get these different approaches as they mature into a more mature platform and as I mature into a more mature person. So it's just interesting. But yeah, I think some of that does like some of it is good. Some of that is good. I think Gen Zers have like are much more in tune with like the digital world and can make, I think we make maybe judgments off of people and things online more than, let's say, like my parents and older generation. I don't think they're quite as quick to make judgments off things they see online. And again, could be good or bad when it comes to people. Like that can be good and bad, but I think it's good when it comes to like spotting spams and spotting like if a product is actually good or not. Like those are skills that I think Gen Z is sort of naturally in tune with. That older generations maybe don't pick up on those little nuances of like what is real and what isn't. The same with like kind of fake news. Like everyone can fall to fake news for sure. But I think like I've had to explain to my mom like some things to like processes to go through when you're looking at news and how to figure out if it's real or not and what extra things you need to look into to figure it out if you really want to. Or if you're not really invested, just don't even pay mind to it and just scroll past it. Like that is also a skill to like not let every headline catch your attention. So like I've had to like kind of talk to her through some of that stuff.
Yeah, it's interesting. So now you were mentioning like social media is becoming more and more mature. And I think we'll be talking about social media a lot today, A, because you're a powerhouse in it, and B, it's one of like the cornerstone platforms that brand marketing can really engage with. And,
Yes.
you were mentioning social media becoming more mature, and Mark Zuckerberg just came out last week or two ago, saying that making a huge move of discontinuing third party fact checking for community notes, kind of following the model of Elon Musk, which is interesting. And he puts out this little video, like a 5-minute video, giving his 2 cents on the what and why, and it raised more questions than gave answers. And then he ended up going on the Joe Rogan podcast, and he had 3 hours to talk about why, and it was very interesting. Of like you're watching, for me, I'm watching, as I watch Meta grow, I'm watching the leader of Meta grow with it. And it was very interesting to hear, just listen to Mark Zuckerberg's rationale about things, and like talk about the techniques that he deploys within his algorithms, and like how his algorithms work in that way. And some are going to like the move, some are going to hate the move. I think there's good and bad. I think it's all going to come down to how he implements. I don't think X implemented it great. That's just my personal opinion. X is a bit chaotic to me, and I think Zuckerberg is more tactical in that way to deploy it out a little bit better, perhaps than Musk. But it will be interesting to see. And yeah, I mean, they're it's a pay to play market, right? It's like, I remember early days of doing social campaigns, I would get a ton of engagement. And now it's like you're reaching like 2 to 5%, depending on, how much traction your page gets anyway. So it's interesting. And I think, I think staying nimble, and understanding that, these channels evolve will help mold
Yeah,
your brand, right?
for sure. I mean, and talking like recent news, like the TikTok ban is huge. For
Do you see
some,
Mr. Beast maybe buying it? I need to fact check this, but he puts out on X like, all right, I'll buy it, and then he pushes something else out. It's like, you know what? I've had a lot of billionaires reach out to me since I've put that out. So let's see if we can make this happen. So it'll be interesting to
wow,
see.
I've seen that. I've seen things about like Musk being identified as a potential buyer. I haven't heard anything on his side, but who knows? It's a bunch of information, but it's coming very soon now. And it's been something, especially my generation. Me and my roommate were talking about this literally last night. About how we've just been pretending it's not happening, and probably will just continue to pretend it's not happening, but it's happening, and there will be changes in it, and you're gonna have to, if you're a nimble, flexible marketer in this space, you have to move around it. And so I think that's where like brand importance comes in general. You don't want to be stuck or tied to just certain platforms, especially ones that you don't own yourself. And so I think this is definitely going to be a year of like the pushing to the own channels, like your email, or getting people to your website to join a community or something like that. Like pushing people to places that you own, that won't be shut down on a dime, So own channels, I think, is going to be huge. So especially as social media, like it's all up and down. It can change this way, that way. With the introduction of community notes, is that going to mean, your brand changes online because you've been posting all these hot takes, and then now community notes are going to say, this isn't right, this is like not true, or something like, and then you have to like change your whole strategy. So I think getting really savvy and really adopting a omni-channel strategy of how you move through things, how you promote things. And if you've had tons and tons of weight on social media, try to just disperse it. Yeah, disperse that energy among your other channels. And that doesn't mean like to not care about social anymore. You definitely need to be caring about it. There's still a ton of people there, and it's still really important. But just making sure your other channels aren't like falling to the wayside.
Yeah. No, so masterclass number 1, ladies and gentlemen, thank you. Diversify your media mix. 2025 is the year to diversify your media mix. And yep, that doesn't mean shift energy from one to another. It means expend additional energy to be on more. And if you don't feel like you have the energy, that's where the me's and the Mayas exist for you. So that's interesting. So I want to talk a little bit as brands, as like you have like small, medium-sized business owners. our agency is tied to a press association, a news media association. So we have a few different audiences
Mhm.
within our bucket. So I want to speak kind of as overarching as we can. But I want to talk a little bit about brand tone, because I think brand tone, there's such a large spectrum towards a brand tone and really how much goes into identifying what that tone is. I think that was one of the things that I really appreciated about your work with Cloud Campaign is like you got the tone right. It was just great. Like I just like felt good after seeing like your video or your content, because it gave me beyond the content it gave me, it was upbeat, it was classy. It wasn't ridiculous, or like crazy out there, but it had an energy to it, which is hard to achieve. Talk to me a little bit about, like, I want businesses to know how they can assess their brand to identify the best tone for them. Is it like,
Yeah.
is it meme heavy? Is it more vanilla? How did you approach it, or how would you approach it with any brand for them to assess?
Yeah, this is a great question. For me, it starts with the audience, as most marketing does or should. So, once you figured out who you're targeting, where, why, all that stuff, I think you need to move um, onto how, like, what value you can bring them and how that value can be illustrated to them. And a lot of that, I think, can come from, like, you can learn that from being in the audience yourself. So, consuming the same media that they're consuming, being in the same communities that they are. If they're if it seems like, you're targeting Gen Z and you know that this is a Gen Z marketer in the space, okay, cool. I'm going to be looking at their stuff. Going to be looking at the things that comment on them. If you're a food brand, yeah, again, let's just stick with Gen Z for this. If you're a food brand targeting Gen Z, okay, cool. Let's look at other people doing that. Let's look at their comments. Let's look at the things they post. How many likes do they get on this? Using, like, it's very cost effective too to just look at what other people are doing, especially on social media. Like, it's out there. There's no behind the walls, like maybe for like paid, but for organic, it's all out there to see. So go look at it. And that should be like your first thing you do. Like, once you've identified everything, get in there, get in the weeds and try to become in that mindset. Try to look at those people and what they're saying, how they're feeling. And so then you can get really good information and good, at least, starting points to start posting or putting out there, sending emails in that tone, voice. So that's like the first step, I'd say, is like getting in there, figuring out, see what it feels like yourself. And then you can like make content and build your own audience off of that. And then you can pull different ways if you want from that. But that should be a good starting point.
That's a great starting point. So research, right? So researching what others are doing, and that's more of a common practice than I think small medium sized businesses may realize. Influencers are, that's the world they live in with researching. They're, a common tactic. It's a tactic we do at our agency is, if we're looking at, what type of content really paces for a specific brand or a specific type of product. I mean, we're pulling up a spreadsheet and finding, the top 50 videos on that specific topic, and looking at things like, who is it? What's the hook? What's the call to action? Right down to even like, how many seconds in between transitions and things like that, right? It's like, for videos, it's a short attention life or attention span that people have. Like, you need
Mhm.
to consistently be engaging their eyes as well. But I think, even for like, so for me, I think even for like the most vanilla brands, sometimes I think it's good to push it, right? And I think there are some industries where probably people are cringing as I say that, but pushing it. And one thing that you really opened my eyes up to was like integrating pop culture into your
Yeah.
social strategy. It's huge, and it made me look at social content in a very different way.
Yeah.
Is there talk to me a little bit about when it's the right time to bring pop culture in to get like this little blitzkrieg of reach extension, and like, are there any recent pop culture events that you've seen really pace well on, like, in the social space to push a brand?
Yeah. So talking about pop culture, I feel like I put them in different categories. So there's more like evergreen pop culture, can be posted whenever, all times of the year. And then there's more like, like I can't think of like the perfect word for it, but let's just say event focused pop
Like
culture.
short term, real time, 15-minute pop culture.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. There's long term and then short term, like things that are popping up now. And so separating into those categories, I'd say if you're starting out, get touching into pop culture for your branding or how to tie it into that. Those evergreen areas are good. So again, depending on your audience, if they're Gen Z, if they're Gen X, whatever, you're going to be using different pop culture references because that's what your audience knows. So like if you're targeting an older generation, you probably don't want to do like, I don't know, SpongeBob or something. But if you're targeting like Gen Z or something, you can't do it. Or like if you're doing millennial friends, great, that works, stuff like that. But if you're doing younger, maybe New Girl or I don't know what's the other stuff that's going on. But anyway,
One that really, um, man, my boys are going to be like, what? But it was awesome. I never saw the movie, but I saw all of the advertising that hovered around this. But the Barbie movie.
oh my gosh,
I mean,
incredible.
it was, yeah. I mean, before the Barbie movie came out, there was like a metric ton of money put into marketing, and you saw all of these brands pick it up. I mean, for like a good month, it was just like it took over, like it took maybe more, right? It just like it took over this craze. But no, I think that's great advice. Like looking at it from the standpoint of short term, long term. Long term's like, Leonardo DiCaprio, the meme of Leonardo DiCaprio, like pointing at the TV and like pick
Yeah,
your caption versus maybe something like a crazy outfit worn, Jared Leto dressing up as a cat, at
yeah.
that
For
whatever,
That was the Met Gala, I
the
think.
Met
A
Gala.
year,
Yes,
yeah, a
yes.
year or two ago. So that's a great example. So like again, those things that are time oriented or will, you can post. Okay, so let's say Valentine's Day and the Super Bowl are coming up. Making things for that to go out around that time, perfect right now. In October, why would you post something about the Super Bowl? That doesn't make sense. And your audience won't be thinking about that at this point. So it's not going to land as well either. So, making sure you're timely with those things and how you're tuned into pop culture. But there could be, again, like TikTok's being banned right now. That's kind of a great thing to talk about, especially in like if your audience is marketers or cares about that, or if you're targeting younger people. A lot of younger people are on that platform. So making sure you're tuned into what's going on around you, like news stories, events that are happening, popular TV shows. I think that's a great one to go on. When The Last of Us came out, was that last year?
Oh man,
Made it so
good
much.
show, great
Yeah, stuff
show.
about that. Or Stranger Things. Like, okay, cool. When the new season comes out, I know I'm doing stuff about that. I know people are going to be watching about that. Or, so stuff around that versus like evergreen content or evergreen memes, things that can just work all the time of year. Like if you use those together, that's how you can be really savvy when it comes to pop culture, like marketing in general.
Yeah, and let's talk real quickly. Let's talk a little bit about like why that's important, right? So pop
Yeah.
culture um gets more engagement. It typically will get more engagement. It's, people will see, depending on, right? It's like there's
Right.
caveats to this, but depending on, like, usually see a heightened engagement, reactions or comments, maybe shares if it's really funny. Um, I think the answer's obvious, but not to everybody.
Yeah.
Why is increased engagement and just increased why is increased engagement so important for a business to take into consideration for their growth of, in this case, their social platform, but really extends beyond? But for social, like, why is it important?
I think it's important. I mean, it shows you're in tune with your audience and it shows that you're being relevant. So if you're posting something and it's really connecting with people, then they're going to be commenting, engaging, sharing. I think as we move forward with social media, there's going to be a big separation between impressions and engagement. Again, like I said, the lurkers are lurking. like, and
Yes.
and if you don't know, okay, I'll explain that term. I'm like, I don't know what are Gen Z terms versus not. So I will, if you ever want me to explain
Yes.
further.
Explain what's a lurker.
A lurker, um, that'd be somebody who just scrolls social media, or I feel like you could even tie it to email campaigns. They just are opening your emails, but they're not clicking anything. They're not engaging with it at all. So there's more and more people just lurking, just watching. That doesn't mean like it won't turn into a conversion one day, but that just means you're not getting any signs that they're actively involved with your brand. So it's interesting that that is happening more and more nowadays. So as a marketer, be aware that that may not, you know, be your big metric moving forward. But it's important. It makes it even more important and shows you even more when people are engaging, commenting with your stuff. So
Yeah, I think so. I think yeah, lurkers. So for us, in my generation of marketers, when we chiseled on a piece of stone, our our no, well, it's more like a casual, right? Like someone who's just a casual, maybe an enthusiast, or even less. But it's like the weeds are thickening within these already congested spaces. So try to, or there's more hay. Try to find the diamond or the needle in the haystack or whatever.
yeah,
Pick your metaphor, but you're
yeah,
absolutely right. And beyond that, I will also add that more engagement, it exercises your algorithm, right? You want to get more engagement to strengthen your algorithm. So in this case, let's just use Meta for example, but it usually holds true with other platforms. The more a piece of content engages, the more it's going to show that platform that your brand is a favorable one.
mhm,
And then look to double down, right? If you have a piece of content that is engaging well, double down with that bad boy. Throw it out on other channels,
yeah,
see where it paces. Which kind of gets me into the idea of like there are so many different spaces for us to strengthen our brand. Again, let's talk in the social space, because I've sold my soul to social, social, but this will apply everywhere.
yes,
But let's look at it just from the social standpoint. Like there are so many different platforms, right? There's X, formerly known as Twitter. There's Facebook. There's Instagram. There's Snapchat. There's TikTok. There's Lemonade. There's Pinterest. Is
yeah.
considered. I mean, there are so many different. Blue Sky. Truth Social for the alt-right fans. I mean, there's so many different spots that exist out there. How do brands identify what spots make the best sense for them? And the answer is probably going to be audience. I think we already have that, but like who's on it, right? Assessing the audience. But then how do you tailor your brand and your content to these specific channels beyond limitations it may set? We know Twitter has, character limits, things like that. But like, how do you tailor that content holistically across multiple channels?
Yeah, I mean, I think one of the things to keep in mind when we're talking in this space is like realities. So if you have a very small team, if you have a team of one for like social media or, whatever, it's very small, you want to be realistic with your time and your expectations. Because, yeah, I do think moving forward now, like we do need to be tailoring our messages to each individual platform. So your social media marketer probably shouldn't be writing your emails like that doesn't make sense, or the website copy or something like. So again, that goes with platforms. You shouldn't be posting what you're posting on LinkedIn, on Instagram, and we've been knowing that about social media. But I think now as that becomes more and more like, and there's more and more platforms that come out every day that try to like defeat the other platform. So personally, I use Threads. I'm not a Twitter person. So while it could be easy to just post whatever I'm posting on Threads to Twitter, I'm not doing that right now.
You're on Okay, so you're on Threads. That's good. So when Threads came out, I was super excited. Man, I was so excited when Threads came out. I don't know why, but I got on there and I'm like, put this super clever post, and I'm like, who else is out there? Like yawn, and like eyes opening for the first time.
Yeah.
And like I have no friends on Threads. I'm going to follow you on Threads. Please follow me back, because like I'm starving to have a friend on Threads. It's like
Sure.
right. It's yeah. Maybe I'm just my ex is so much more lively from that standpoint. But
Yeah.
yeah,
But with those, like, yeah, they're very similar. They seem very similar. But to me, it's a risk if I were to just share what I'm sharing on Threads to X, because I'm not familiar with that platform as much anymore. I'm out of touch with it. I'm not sure how the community moves. Community notes, I had heard of that, but I wasn't really familiar with it. So say I would have post something like a sarcastic joke or something, and then X would be like, no, like community note, this person's wrong. Don't follow this account or something. Like,
Maya Shell is canceled.
yeah,
Yes.
like so I don't want to take that risk for me or for any brands that I'm working with. So I wouldn't be doing that. So you need to be familiar with the platforms first off. So if you are considering adding Blue Sky, Substack, that's something I've been hearing about lately. So you need to be going into those platforms, figuring them out, and then making a decision if they're right for your brand. Not just like, oh, this name is Blue Sky's big now, so let's, get on there. Like that doesn't make sense, honestly. So you need to go in, do that research, understand if it makes sense for your brand. Again, like you can see if competitors are there, not that that should be your full metric, but if they are, then you can kind of see, what is going on for them. And then making that decision. So then if you make that decision, that's when you get into that strategizing of how you're going to tailor what you're posting or what you're talking about, what you're doing on that new platform. So it's kind of, I think, a process there.
It is. And I think one way I always encourage my clients to research is get on the platform and use it personally, even if you don't want to.
Yeah.
I've
Especially if you don't want to, because then you're going to see like you have some resistance. And so you can see kind of like from an outside perspective if it can win you over and how it won you over. So
exactly. And how it won you over, that's what you leverage, right?
yes.
Because that's how it's going to win other people over as well, or it's going to be the most widely adopted value of that social channel by those that do like that social channel. So
Yeah.
it's I know I spend a lot of time on social. I spend way too much time on social, but I can do it for my job. It's your job too, but it's interesting to see. I'm wondering, I'm really interested how these platforms will evolve here in the future.
Me too.
So talk to me a little bit. So I want, this information that you're providing is incredible. I mean, this is like people pay lots and lots of money for to hear these tips and tricks from folks like you. So thank you for giving it for free. But talk to me a little bit for some businesses. Like if there's an entrepreneur listening, they have a startup on their, and their brand's getting out there. What would be one thing that they could do today that even if they have a small budget or really even no budget to help strengthen their brand identity?
Yeah. So my main thing here, like I've been pushing this, is to just engage. It's free. Again, it's organic. It's natural. And you've been seeing the rise of brands in your comment sections, especially on TikTok. We'll see maybe how that transfers over to Instagram moving forward. But get into those comments, start engaging. I think some brands, they're kind of just all over the place with it. They're commenting on whatever is viral. I don't know if that's necessarily the strategy. If that works for you, fine. But being strategic about it, and again, like being a part of the community. Like as social media is changing over time, we're seeing the growth of communities and niche understanding. So being involved in that, if you are a chicken company, get into this chicken world, like get out there, get commenting on all these people's content that's around chicken or whatever, especially if there's anything viral in the world.
Yeah,
around
Purdue, I'm commenting, you're not responding. What's going on? No, that's a great, it's free. And there's a psychology behind it, right? So the
Yes.
consumer, your consumer, when they see that a brand, even if a brand just likes likes a comment that you have, just even that, like that nod, right? It's like the bro nod, right? Like I see you, I heard you.
Yes. You're
Like
feeling seen.
you're feeling seen. Exactly. That's a great way of putting it. And bonus points if you comment back, you're feeling heard, right?
Yes. Yes.
It's a huge man. We should, okay, let's split. I'm gonna trademark that. I will split that with you 50-50.
Okay, perfect.
Engage to be seen, respond to be heard. I'm gonna make t-shirts.
And I will say too, like, I think this sounds so sad, and I try to be very positive, but I think my generation is more of a lonely one. We are, again, COVID's pushed us inside, pushed us out of our schooling, literally pushed me out of my house in college. So, not that that is still happening, but like that sentiment is there. Like we were kind of pushed into our own areas. And so we kind of are a more lonely generation, and we definitely do look for community and connection online, like straight up. I kind of hope we get out of that, or the next generation push out of that. But that's how it is right now. And so if you're interacting, especially with younger generations, we're doing it online. And so being, again, people say authentic, and I think that's such a buzzword, but maybe genuine is a better way to go about it. Like just talking to people like people, but giving them that connection, really seeing and hearing them and understanding what's going on in their world. I think that's a really good way to think about marketing moving forward. So
Yeah, no, I agree with that. And even for my generation, 42, right? It's like um this will probably sound terrible for me, but like my birthday every year is awesome because I know I'm going to get flooded with like happy birthday Kevin, right?
Yeah.
And it's just like there's a warm feeling that people get for that. So
Yeah.
and I think, doing something, so that's a great tip, engage. And there are tools out there that can help you kind of roll up all of your social channels.
Yes.
I'm pushing this out. This is not a sponsored post. They are not paying me to do this. I just really like the product. We use Cloud Campaign, and one thing Cloud Campaign does, or other, perhaps other SMMs, just so it's like I'm not super fanboying out of Cloud Campaign, but it pulls all of the engagement up into one all into one page for me, where I can just go through and I'm engaging with everybody very, very quickly.
Yes.
It gives the ability to like create kind of pre-responses, like,
Yeah.
thanks for the kind words or whatever the case may be. So like there are ways that you can be efficient in achieving these goals that seem like they're juggernauts. Cloud Campaign aside, do you have any other like ideas, tips, tricks on tools that could just help overall?
Yeah, so one of my favorite tools I'm using currently is MiniChat. And I know people have heard that. It's been bouncing around for like a year, but there's really a lot of use cases you can use it. And especially with trying to move into this omni-channel, multiple channel marketing here, owned channels, you can use MiniChat to push people that way. So with MiniChat, if you're unfamiliar, like you can set up different automations. And it's not for every social media channel right now, but Instagram is the biggest one I see them used on. And so creators will create a piece of content. In the caption, they can say, comment this word, this emoji, whatever. And if people do, then they get an automatic DM to them or whatever automation you really set up. But a lot of people do it for DMs. So again, it gets people in the DMs, which Adam Missouri, the head of Instagram, says a lot of like interesting movement is happening in DMs, that Instagram is moving into DMs more and there's more conversations happening in there. So again, as a brand getting into someone's DMs organically, like they're basically asking you to slide in their DMs, that is an incredible way to start building that connection with them super organically and strong. So anyway, a lot of people do that by like offering free resources or downloads or like I'll send you the link or whatever it is that makes sense for you. That's a great way you set up this MiniChat automation. Again, you could get 2 or you could get 200 and it makes it easy for you. And then you're in there with somebody and, you send them the resource, they open a conversation with them, you can say, let me know if you have questions. And then, it feels really organic and natural. So that's been an amazing tool to use. And you can push people that they have an automation for email. So you can capture their email and then you push them into your own channel. So,
Yeah, ManyChat's great.
yeah.
ManyChat's good for the restaurant industry, right? Like
Oh,
you put something, you create a hook, comment coupon, right? I mean, like,
yeah.
to get a free app or a free dessert, or like if perfect for like around Valentine's Day maybe, or holidays, things like that. It's a great spot there. I see it a lot because you probably do, we get pushed like marketing stuff all the time. I get pushed a lot of like,
Mhm.
comment prompt to get the top 1,000 prompts for AI, and I'm like,
Right.
no. Like I follow the framework on that, but there are a lot, and it's an automation workflow that creates a funnel campaign for you.
Yes.
And again, if you don't have the time or know how to do it, give me a call. Give Maya a call. We can help you with this stuff. It's so important. So ManyChat, I will get an affiliate link and put that in the show notes so we can all get rich off that.
Yeah, and I thought something you just said was super interesting about like, oh, like comment prompt and I'll send you 1,000 prompts and you were like, nah, man, I'm good. Like that sounds like a lot. That is something that I feel like we're seeing a lot. And I've recently heard a term for it, so I'll share. Nobody else has, but it's called like, it's kind of the opposite of what you said, but a comfort creator. So instead of like overwhelming people with all of this information or like being super like upbeat and high pace, it's the opposite. It's being calm. It's being chilled. It's giving somebody space to just like empty their mind and just watch you. You know, it's like your favorite TV show on in the background. Like that side of social media is growing a lot this year.
That
So just
is that
yeah.
is genius. Let's take a moment with that because that's incredible. So for me, it's like The Office because you're absolutely right. You know, I scroll through. I'll doom scroll.
Yeah.
I doom scroll heavily, and I'll watch, and it's like people are so amped, you know, and it's like it's jarring to
Yes.
consumers. You have always and I never thought about it in this way until now, but your way of doing social for like Cloud Campaign, especially when you were the face for the message for the different pieces of content, it was very chill. Like I like it wasn't jarring to me, right? It gave me great information in a way where it doesn't rattle me, you know, and it works well. I mean, maybe that like upbeat hype jarred kind of content works in some areas, but I
Yes.
agree because there's so much, and leave it to us marketers, right? We are famous for using and abusing tactics that work until we overuse it, you know,
Yes.
and so comfort content, right? It was
Yes.
comfort content. You should trademark that. I would totally buy a shirt with that. That's awesome. That's
Yeah.
awesome.
So that's definitely something I've seen the rise of, especially like it's huge in the beauty world is like just watching people do makeup and they'll talk about their day
Yeah.
or something like that's
Yeah.
very relaxed. It
The
doesn't
get
take
ready with me, right? It's the get
yeah.
ready with me topic. Yeah.
And it's like that
I've never watched any of that. I just, you know.
just to clarify. Yeah, it's a new way to just watch and again like maybe it's in the lurking world but you're engaged at least mentally but it's a relax it doesn't take you a lot of mental energy to be tuned into that and so yeah I definitely think if this makes sense for your brand to kind of try to lean into that side of things especially if you're trying to go for like a softer approach like this is incredible for you so like some other examples like just like trending audio, like a chill video of you doing whatever, typing on your computer. You could be putting on makeup. It could be taking a walk. It could be, something playing with your dog in the background, just something chilled every day that people can relate to. And then put your message on top of it or tell them to go to the caption or whatever makes sense. But I think that kind of content we're going to see rise a lot because it just doesn't take a lot of mental energy to do. It's not going to make people swipe away because they're like, I can't deal with that right now. So,
Yeah, I think, and I think that also brings up an excellent point of like, it's authentic, right? Like that's authentic content, or it's appearing to be authentic, and it's not overly produced, right?
no.
The world of these overly produced pieces of content, they do not stand out as much as content that you create with putting your iPhone on a tripod and maybe having a lav mic, and doing a get ready with me or whatever. And there's a lot of strategy behind. Let's just use the get ready with me social strategy. It keeps people on your video for longer. Your minutes, that brand's minutes increase, um, which helps build out and strengthen their algorithm to reach more people. And it's also putting a face to the brand, right? Which is huge. I think 2025, we're going to continue to see the growth of, I think almost trending upwards kind of at a bow exponentially is like having more faces to the brand. You mentioned Adam Mosseri. If people aren't following Adam Mosseri on Instagram, follow him. I didn't follow him until you shared something on Instagram. And I'm like, oh crap, I should probably follow him. So, it's being attuned to that and hearing what these subject matter experts have to say, becoming a subject matter expert yourself. So others want to hear what you have to say. I mean, these are all important things to help grow your business. Um,
Yes.
Man, there are so many things I'm going to take away from today to optimize my brand. And hopefully everyone listening that has a brand that they want to optimize, they're taking away some things here too. We're at I think this will be our longest episode. This has been so fun. I have absolutely loved this. I'm so happy. Thank you so much for coming on. Like I said, I mean, hopefully I think it's safe to say you are going to be one of the go-tos on marketing influence in the omni-channel world for 2025, and I want people to know where they can follow you. So where can people follow you and be able to hear from you about more of your subject matter expertise?
Yeah, of course, of course. Thank you for all those kind of words again. Like I appreciate it a lot. It's amazing.
Sure.
But yeah, if you want to hear more from me, you can go to my LinkedIn. It's at Maya Shell. So MYASHELL. Yeah, but that's basically, you can hit me up on LinkedIn if you want more of like the personal stuff. If you want to see my really cute and really fluffy cat, you can hit me up on Instagram with the same handle. But yeah, LinkedIn's going to be where I'll talk more of this stuff. So if you want more of this, that's where to go.
Boom. So find Maya on LinkedIn and learn from her, and then find her on Instagram and see that she travels all over the world and does awesome things and is just killing it at life, both professionally
Oh,
and personally. So I'm so happy to see your successes. I'm so
thank you.
thankful to be able to learn so much from you. Thank you so much for taking the time. And yeah, go build your brands, ladies and gentlemen. Until next time, see ya. Five Dubs Marketing Pros is hosted by me, Kevin Barrier. Our executive producer is MDDC Executive Director Rebecca Snyder. Post-production by Caroline Pecora. Our theme music is by Azulu Studio. A special thank you to our guests for being with us. You can find Five Dubs and Five Dubs Marketing Pros on Spotify or wherever you listen to your podcast.